Hey Joshua, have you seen my... What are you doing? I'm playing Worms! Is that supposed to be a Slither.io joke? Worms! Worms! These are actually pretty good. You're probably thinking, JoshAgeddon, I thought you only reviewed console games. Well, guess what? This is my channel, and I can do whatever the frick I want if you have a problem with it. Slither! Or is it Slither.io? Slitherio. Alright. Whatever it's called, it's the spiritual successor to 2015's largely successful multiplayer online action game, Agar.io. And by spiritual successor, I don't mean how Cloverfield is in the same universe as 10 Cloverfield Lane, but as in how Slither's entire gameplay style uses the exact same formula that was used in Agar.io, apart from a few notable changes to the aesthetics. If anything, Slither is the Man of Steel to Agar.io's OG Superman. Take from that what you will. Just like in Agar.io, your objective is to go around killing and absorbing as many players as you can to become as big as possible. Except in Agar.io, you play as a bunch of balls. In Slither, you play as a bunch of worms! Or are they snakes? Well, you can wrap around your opponent like an anaconda, so... My anaconda don't... Oh god, no, why? Why? Who put that in there? Was it you, Frank? Hey, come here, come here. No, come here, no, come back here, right now. Did you put that in there? Look at me in the eye and tell me you put that in there. I'm sorry. Oh, you're sorry. Is it okay with you if I lose a bunch of subscribers over that crap? I thought it'd be funny. Oh, good for you. And how was it? Joshua, calm down. Calm down. No! No! Don't shut me up. Me and you, we're done professionally, man. We're done professionally. Anyway, the question is Slither a good game, yes or no? I would say yes. There is a lot of things in the game that I do like, and it's a lot of fun. However, there are, unfortunately, some things in the game that I don't like, some problems that I do have with the game, but it's traditional for my reviews to start with the positives, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So what better place to start than everything Slither did better than its predecessor, Agar.io? The first improvement to discuss is the game's presentation. Now, as much as I love Agar.io, it looks pretty bland. Looking at a white background with balls of various sizes and colors will get old after a while. However, in Slither, the black background beautifully contrasts the brightly colored worms, and it's very easy on the eyes. Now, it will get old after a while, but it takes a lot longer for the game's environment to bore you than in Agar.io because there's much more going on. Plus, Slither's worms are 3D as opposed to Agar.io's 2D balls. It feels different and fresh, and the freshness doesn't dissipate as quickly. That is a huge plus in my opinion. Another improvement that I really like is the speed of the gameplay. Agar.io, while not slow by any stretch of the imagination, keeps a steady pace as you float around. In Slither, the pace is much quicker, and it makes the gameplay much more intense. A lot of this upgraded speed has to do with Slither's boost function that can be activated by tapping the worm.
Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast! Gotta go faster, 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 faster!
And I love how using this boost drains the amount of points you have because it forces you to think before you act and conserve energy. Now, of course, the bigger you get, the slower you become, but a giant worm in Slither still moves faster than a giant ball in Agar.io, so as long as you are in an area with other worms, the game will never feel slow or plodding. Finally, and in my opinion, the biggest improvement has to do with the changes to the Agar.io formula Slither has that separates itself from its predecessor. I already touched on how you play as a worm or a snake instead of a ball, but this change opens up several interesting elements of gameplay. In Agar.io, as a ball, The only way you can attack other balls is by running into them, but if you run into one that's bigger than you, you die. Of course, you can split into smaller pieces in an attempt to surround other players and catch them by surprise, but there's only a certain number of ways you can actually win. In Slither, as a worm, there are multiple strategies that you can now employ. And in this game, it doesn't matter how big you are, if you run into someone, that's it. That really opens up the playing field and adds to the challenge. But being bigger and longer has its advantages. Really long worms can wrap around their prey, which blocks off any possible escape, allowing the worm to eventually come into contact with the other worm, killing it and absorbing its essence. Wow, this just got really dark. Plus, the aforementioned speed boost makes it possible to cut off worms at the pass, which causes them to run right into you. However, this tactic is very risky, and if you mistime it, you may very well slam right into your own death. But it's still a thing you can do that wouldn't be possible if you were just a ball.
So yes, there are several improvements in Slither over Agar.io that make Slither, in some respects, a better game than Agar.io. It has a lot of strengths that Agar.io doesn't have. And there are also some positives about Slither that don't have anything to do with Agar.io. And, well, starting with...
Oh my gosh, these worms are so cute! But yeah, I really do like the way the worms look in this game. I mean, they look really cute. It's just unfortunate that they're killing each other. Like, makes you wonder what the plot of the game is. I mean, in the Slither universe, is it like the Worm Hunger Games? Like, are you having to kill... I mean, you're already having to kill each other to grow bigger and stronger to survive, but yeah, is this like the Worm Hunger Games? Is there a President Snow Worm? Okay, I'm really going off the rails with this. The worms look cute, okay? That's just full stop.
Also, yeah, there is no plot. I mean, it's a game where you play as a bunch of worms and you run into each other. A bunch. What do you expect? There's no plot.
Speaking of the way the worms look, one of the best features in this entire game is the fact that there are numerous skins that you can pick for your worm. I mean, there are different colors, different, patterns, and there are even ones that have little symbols hanging off them. There are so many of these, it's very customizable, and it just gives this game a huge personality, and I love it.
So yes, I love the way that Slither looks. It is a very good-looking game. It's simple, but it looks very good. Plus, the worms are absolutely adorable. How can you hate something that looks like that? But now into more important things in the way the game looks. How does the game play? Now, I like the gameplay. This game is very well made. I do have a few problems with it, of course, but I'm going to be talking about that for later. Now is where I talk about positive things, but yes. But there are two versions of this game. There's the PC version of this game and the mobile version of this game for iPods, iPhones, iPads, you name it. But they play pretty much the same. It's just you use different controls to do the same thing. Let me explain.
The PC version of Slither controls very well and, in my opinion, better than the mobile version. The worm is controlled by the cruiser, and whichever way you move the cruiser is exactly where the worm will go. Now, I do recommend using a mouse instead of a trackpad with the PC because the worm responds better to the mouse. Something about our fingers just isn't precise enough, I guess. I don't really know what the big deal is, but that's just the way it is. But the controls are, for the most part, very responsive and easy to use. Now, the mobile version of this game is not as tight and responsive, but that's only by a small margin. You use your thumb to pilot the worm in this version, and again, it's very responsive. That is, until your thumbs get tired. In both versions, the worm's control and motion is very smooth and fluid, which is excellent. Seeing as how there's only this gameplay style and it doesn't really have that many issues, there really isn't that much to address. The controls are good, and the overall presentation is great.
So yeah, Slither does a lot of things right. It's a very good-looking game. It's a very well-playing game. There is a lot of things I like about the game, and I do genuinely think it is a good game. But there are a few problems that I have with it, and this is where we're going to get into the negative part of my video. And yes, whenever I cover a game I like, it's unfortunate to have to go over negatives, but gotta be impartial. Can't be that biased, but there are only really, when it comes to Slither, 3 problems that I have with the game. One is very minor, so minor I wasn't able to obtain any footage of. But the other two are big, in some cases, game-breaking problems. Now, the first problem I have, which is very minor, has to do with the controls of the game, but I was unable to find... It's very rare. It's a very rare issue, but it happens enough for me to have taken notice of it. It only happens whenever I play the PC version of the game. For some reason, it's not anywhere near as frequent in the mobile version, but this problem is, occasionally, when you're trying to get the worm to turn, the worm will turn in the opposite direction that you want it to. Like, it'll just do this when you're wanting it to go this way. But it'll correct itself, but since the game is so fast-paced, this can lead to unintentional deaths, like running into someone that's right there. But again, this problem does not happen that often, but it is something that I feel needs to be addressed, and I wish I could be able to obtain footage of it, but I just can't find anything, and of course, whenever I'm playing, it never happens whenever I mean to record it. But yeah, that's the one little minor problem. The other two problems are big ones, and I'm going to start with lagging. There is a lot of lagging in this game.
For those that don't know, this is lag. Not very pretty, huh? As a matter of fact, I would describe it as downright horrific. Oh my god, does this game lag a lot. Especially on mobile. The lag isn't as bad on PC, probably because PCs are more powerful and have more space than an iPod, iPhone, or iPad. But if you try to play this on mobile with a less than spectacular phone and a not so great internet connection, welcome to the 7th circle of hell. The lag is so severe that it makes online play with others practically impossible. You won't be able to move and you will die immediately because it may not lag on someone else's phone, which is totally unfair. That's why whenever I play on mobile myself, I only play against the AI. And even then, I have to turn off my Wi-Fi because it keeps lagging because of all the stupid ads. The lag is so inexcusable and it ruins this game, especially for mobile players. Just, ugh.
The lag in this game is a serious problem because there are occasions where it can actually break the game. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to play this game online on my iPhone where it will just completely freeze and I'll have to turn off my Wi-Fi and play by myself. And for an online multiplayer game, that's really, really bad. Now, I have heard that there are patches for this and there are ways around the lag, but as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't make it go away. Yes, if it's fixable, that's fine, but it's still a problem in the first place. It's still there. So yeah, that is a serious problem. It's a very severe problem, and it definitely takes points off. That really lowers my ranking. Now, the other problem with this game is not really just secluded to this one game. This is really a problem that is it's kind of a problem, kind of not really a problem. It's a part of what this game is. A lot of internet, iPod, iPhone, Flash games, they're not meant to be played over and over and over and over like console games and PC games. They're supposed to be time wasters, like when you're going somewhere and it's a long trip and you have nothing else to do except play this one game and listen to music. It's a disposable time waster. It's a very good disposable time waster, but still. In this game, you only do one thing, and that's kill other worms to collect more points, and there's a top 10 leaderboard, but once you get to the top of that leaderboard, it's like the story of Alexander the Great. Like, he became sad because there was no more worlds left for him to conquer. It's the same thing here. There's nothing else to do in this game. Once you've gone through all the trouble of becoming number one, you don't win the game. There's no prize for winning, as far as I'm concerned, but you just sit around there, and when you die, for one, you really don't feel like going through all the trouble of becoming number one again, and you've just done it, so you really don't need to do it again, because you know that you've done it. So, replayability factor in this game is very, very low. Unfortunately low, but it's not really this game's fault. It's the same thing with Agar.io, and same thing with a lot of other Flash games, a lot of other iPod games. It's not meant to be played over and over and over. Once you've had your fill, you don't ever need to pick it up again because it's the same game. You can't play it multiple ways. It's just the one thing, and that unfortunately is a flaw in some respects. So yeah, there's that. And those are pretty much my thoughts on Slither. It's a good game. I would not say it's a very good game. I would not say it's a great game, but it is a good game. And honestly, I don't believe any game like this, like a Gario, Slither, or any of those other like disposable time waster flash games, I don't think they're made to be great. I don't think it's possible for one of them to be great. So, you may disagree with me, but that's fine. But honestly, and there's nothing wrong with being a time waster. I know that carries a negative connotation, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if I'm in a car and I don't have anything else to do, like this is a perfect example of a game that you can play to waste time, and then eventually you're there. You get sucked into it. But it's not one of those games. It's not like Devil May Cry where you can just jump into it, or like after a while you're like, oh yeah, I should play that game again. It was fun. You can go back into it and start playing it again. It's not one of those kinds of games, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it is still a thing. But there is a lot of things in this game that I do like. Now, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. As far as I'm concerned, this game only has 3 major issues, but it has several positives. So therefore, my ranking of Slither. Now, honestly, I would give the PC version of this game above average, and the mobile version of the game average. Especially considering that the lag is so much more severe in the mobile version, but I'm kind of split the difference.
Slither IO is above average.
So there you have it. I, the great JoshAgeddon, bequeath this game the above average rating. And yes, bequeath is a word. Look it up. I encourage you to use Google. And after you look that up, play Slither. It's a fun game. It's a fun time-wasting game. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And I'm going to finish eating these worms. Oh gosh, dry. I need some water.